This conference will now be recorded.
So as you know, my name is Ahmed. Today I'm taking database processes, very good and interesting topics, and I will tell about whatever I know the processes, and I will tell you about from 9i to 20c. And I am database consultant, instructor, author, blogger, speaker, career advisor. So I have many responsibilities. In terms of my blog, you know that Oracle Ride, and also I'm the author of two blogs. One is DBTET and IT tutorial, and I am certified in these database versions and technologies. And now begins with the topic: what is process? So as we know that process is a mechanism in an operating system that actually do the task or do the series of steps which user type on the monitor with the keyboard. Okay, so basically it runs the code which you put on the terminal. If suppose you log in on your OS software or Linux terminal. So if suppose you are talking, you are firing ls-l command. So this is the task which you are giving to the OS. So in OS, one process will come and do the things. So same way in Oracle, all users who connected to database, so they will access a database instance, and they have to run some things which that database will execute. So first of all, we use or user use application or database utility. So a database user basically runs a database application or program or database tool. Like the biggest famous tool is SQL Star Plus tool. So that actually used for to connect to the database, and that is used for to type the SQL statement, and that will transfer to the database. So that is the one thing which happens. And second thing is Oracle database code. So each user has Oracle database executing on behalf of uh, that interrupts and process that application SQL statement. So basically process has in own memory, and they will run in own memory. They will not take any other memory, and most processes run periodically, do the things periodically, and they will write their work in associated trace file. Suppose we have dbwr, so dbwr trace file is there. If we have lgwr, so lgwr trace file is there, right? So these things involved in process. Now if you see this structure, this is the basic structure or in 9i, where we have user process and listener, then server, and in the instance we have a dbwr, ckpt, lgwr, smon, pmon, rackpo. Then optional we have arcn, asmb, rbl, others. Okay, and in terms of rack, we have OHASD, Oracle High Availability Service Daemon, Oracle Cluster Service Daemon, Diskmon, Aura Root Agent, Aura Agent, CCD agent. So I'm not covering rack processes. Only my focus is on Oracle processes. Okay. So we have two types of processes. One is user process, or you can say client process, and another one is the Oracle process, or you can say database process. So in terms of client process or user process, actually starts when you open any application or Oracle tool code. So whenever a user run an application such as SQL Star Plus tool, then on that time operating system create a client process. Okay, so that is the process which actually run the user application. So this is the means confusion between the in the DBA side, that one user process start or who will create user process. So this is the answer for that doubt. And why we required client process? See, client process is differ from the Oracle process, because client process cannot communicate directly to the database instance. So we required Oracle process. So Oracle process is actually take the request from the client side, and then it will go to the SDA. Either it will write or either it will read from the SDA on the basis of the client request. And a client process basically run on the host. It will not run on the database side, because on database side Oracle process run. So suppose a user on a client host starts SQL Star Plus, and then connect over the network to database, and this basically is sample on a different host, and the database is not started. Okay, so this is a client process, and this is the way you can connect sys at the rate instance one, as sysdba is the privileges, and then you enter instance. So after connecting this, if you check with ps-ef command, so you will get the output like this. And if suppose on the database side, if you check ps-ef, then you will get this local keyword and equals to no. So this is the difference between on the client side process checking and the database side process checking. So I hope many DBAs knows this syntax. So I'm not going into that. Uh, then process is basically Oracle process is what? Oracle process is actually a unit of execution that run the Oracle database code. And Oracle processes are three types. One is server process, another one is background process, and third one is slave process. So the important and main or foreground process is the server process, which actually performs the work which client request. And this process parse the SQL query, place them in the shared pool, create and execute a query plan for each query, and read the buffers from the database buffer cache or from disk, or read the redo entries from the database buffer cache and write into the redo log buffer, like this. So this is the work of server process. And background process plays an important role, because everything cannot be done by the server process, because server process is very important. So we have background processes which actually starts when the database instance is start, and background process performs the maintenance task, like writing the redo buffers to the disk, writing the dirty buffers from the database buffer cache to the data file, perform the instance recovery, release the database logs, and recover the transaction. So these activity is done by background process. And slave processes is actually perform additional task for a background process. So server process and the process memory allocated in these process run in the database instance, and the instance continues to function when server process terminate. So your function of instance will not stop if server process stops. So this is the thing. And this is the 11G internal architecture. Here you can check that DBWR, CKBT, LJWR, ARCN, right? So from 9i I have started my career. So from 9i to 11G, 5 or main mandatory background processes was there, and that was DBWR, CKPT, LGWR, PMON, SMON. So what is the order of this which it starts? So I will take it at the end. And Then how to check about Oracle processes. So we have $processes process view. By that we can check how many processes we have. So you can get SPID, STID, and program for your processes, and you can order. By that you can check which one started first, which one started second, and which one started third. So now come to server process. How server process will start, and when it will start, and what are the ways in which it will start. So this is about this server process. So Oracle database actually creates server process to handle the request of client process, and client process always communicate with the database through a separate server process, and server process create on behalf of a database application which actually perform one or more tasks. The first task is it will parse and run SQL statement which issued through application, and it also include create and executing the query plan task, and second execute PL SQL code, and third read the database block from the data files into the buffer cache if it is not available, and it will return the result to the application or to the user after processing. So this is the task of server process. So server process are two types. One is dedicated process and one is shared server process. Sorry. So what is dedicated? Dedicated means if suppose you have 10 user, so you have 10 server process. So every user has a dedicated connection. So whenever user has a dedicated connection, he will get the server dedicated server process, and that server process will available for them for till the connections there in the database. And shared server process is actually a common process which handle or serve multiple user requests. So that depends on the connection. So if you have shared connection, then on that time shared server process will available for all users. It is not specifically allocated to anyone. So that is the difference between these two types of server process. So if you have any questions related this, you can post it in the chat so I can take, otherwise I will move. Sorry. Okay. So as I said, dedicated server process services only one user, and it is better to connect it through a dispatcher and use a shared server process. So in terms of database performance and database working fine, so you should connect to the database through shared connection. Only DBAs can use dedicated connection because DBAs work are important. So in DBAs, suppose if DBAs wants to do something, and suppose he has a shared connection, so on that time if server process is not available, so that DBA request will be halt. So that's why in database technology, database documentation suggests that for normal user you can connect through a shared connection, and for the DBA you can connect to the dedicated connection, so you will get dedicated server process. Okay. So for dedicated request, you have the variable server is equal to dedicated clause. You can put in the connect descriptor, or you can configure in the files. So this is the way you can do that. So see that for every user there is a one Oracle server, there is a one user Oracle server. So this is the way your internal diagram will look like. And if you have shared server connection, so this is the shared server connection figure. So in that you can see that when application or user comes, So there is another process which comes, which is called as dispatcher process. So in shared server connection, dispatcher process will take the request of the user process, and it will place the request in request queue area, and server process who is available, he will come and take the request and solve in the SGA, and after that it will pull the result in response queues area, and then dispatcher will take that result and it will transfer to the particular user whose request is that. Okay, so this is the seventh steps that your user query will execute it, and these areas is created in the SDA, and in the SDA it will create in the shared pool. If suppose you have large pool, then it will goes to the large pool. Got it? So this is the shared server connection processing. So that's why always recommend that for normal user we use shared server connection, so we will get shared server process, and for DBA we will get dedicated server process. Got it? So how Oracle database creates server process? So database creates server process in three ways, and the ways which depends on connection method. So the first method is Bequith method, second is Oracle Net Listener, and third is dedicated broker. So these are the three ways by connection happen in your database, and that method Oracle user or client use. So Bequith is when you are using SQL Star Plus or OCI client or another client application that directly spawn the server process. Okay, and if you are connecting through listener, so client application connect to the database through a listener, and if you have if you are going with dedicated broker, so this is a dedicated database process that creates foreground process, unlike the listener, and broker reside within the database instance. And when using a dedicated broker, the client connects to the listener, then it's hands off the connection to the dedicated broker. So these are the three methods of connection. I hope you knows that. So this is the diagram of 12C, where we have user process, and we have listener, we have server process, we have database, and so see this connect packet is taking the request, and listener is receiving this, and after that it is transferring to the connect to the server process, and then server process the SQL statement on the basis of accessing the database and SGA. So this is the way internal things happen whenever any new connections happen. So when a connection does not use the Bequith, database creates the server process in this way. So the first step is client application request a new connection from the listener or broker. So listener or broker initiate the creation of new process. The operating system creates the new process, and Oracle database initialize various component and notification, and then database hand over the connection and connection specific code. So this is the way server process will work. And if you use a dedicated broker connection method, then you can also recreate a pool of server process with this package dbms underscore process. So in this case, pman background process, which is the new process in 12c, which monitors the pool of pre-created process and which wait to be associated with a client request. And when a connection requires a server process, database will skip step 2 to step 4 and performs only step 5, because we created before the connection. So that's why from 2 to 4 these steps will not perform. Directly client request a new connection, and database hand over the connection and connection specific code, because we create before the connection by this DBMS process package. I hope this point is clear to everyone. Excuse me. Okay, so am I audible, right? Because sometimes connection disconnect and I am speaking and you are not willing. So anyone guys say yes or no?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now come to background process. So background process, as I said, it is additional. Thank you, Paji. It is used by Oracle database, and background process basically performs the maintenance task which require to operate the database, maintain the performance for multiple users, and each background process has separate tasks but work with other processes. So they are supposed working as a team. For example, LGWR writes data from the redo log buffer to the online redo log. When redo log file is ready to archive, LGWR signal to the archiver process. Then archiver process will come and flush the redo log file entries to the archive redo log file. So this is the way process communicate each other and do the task, right? So Oracle database background process is actually automatically start when a database instance start. So I asked many times to multiple DBAs whether they are professional as a experience wise, but I didn't get correct answer any means every session. So I will ask at the end, and then you have get a chance to answer it. So we can check by P name, column name from the dollar process. So we get all the processes, background process name. And this is the 12C background process figure, which I took from Oracle documentation. And this figure is same, or this diagram is same in 18C, 19C, and 20C. So there is no change in mandatory background process, optional processes, and slave process. So that's why I have put only one slide related to 12C, 18C, 19C, and 20C. And mandatory background process basically present in all typical database configuration, and read-only database instance disables some of the processes, and whenever you have read-write database instance, it is started. And these are the mandatory background processes which are new in 12.1. So the first one is they have combined, uh, they have added pmon process in pmon group, and cleanup main process CLMN and cleanup helper process CLNN. These two processes are new in 12.1, and processes manager it also new. LREG it also new. SMON is old from 9i is there. DBWR from 9i, LGWR from 9i, checkpoint from 9i, manageability monitor process, MMON, MMNL, it comes from 10G. Recovery process also comes from 10G. So these are the processes we discussed one by one. So in 12.1 we have one group is new. In that group these two processes are new. 3, 4. So we can say that in 12C 4 new processes added, and naming convention of DBWR change, and slave process for LGWR is added. So these are the changes happen in 12C only. So that's why I'm telling this. I hope many people knows. So if I go with PMON process, so as we know that PMON process is the main process starting from 9i, because before 9i I was not started my career, so I'm not going into that. So maybe it was there or maybe it was not, so I'm not telling about that. But from 9i it is available to 20c. So PMON is actually scan the processes. So it is like a governor of the processes. And if you see in 9i, it performs the recovery whenever user process fail. It cleans the database buffer cache, it frees the resources that are used by the user process, it monitors the session, it dynamically register database services with listener. So this is the important task which PMON done till 11G. From 12C, this dynamically registration processes is not uh, done by this thing is not done by in 11 sorry 12C. So this work is removed from PMON, and this also removed from PMON, and this also is not available. So that is the things. And now we have PMON group, which actually hold the PMON and cleanup main process, cleanup helper process. So these processes are responsible for monitoring and cleaning of other processes. So PMON group actually observe the cleanup of buffer cache and release the resources which used by the client process. So a PMON group is responsible for setting the status of active transaction table, releasing the log that are not required, and removing the process ID of terminated process from the list of active. So database must ensure that whatever the resources held by terminated process are released so that other process can use. Otherwise, processes can make or block or stuck in contention. So that's why this things is important in terms of performance wise. So PMON will deduct the termination of the background process. So this is the one work which actually PMON do in 12c. If server process or dispatcher process terminate abnormally, then PMON is responsible for recovery. And process termination can happen by multiple causes, like operating system killed command or alter systems statements by the DBA. So background process terminated by these two types of things. And PMON basically deduct the cleanup work, and it will not clean. It will tell to the cleanup main process. Then cleanup process performs the cleanup of terminated process, terminated session, transaction, network connection, ideal session, de-attached transaction, and de-attached network connection that have exceed their ideal time. So the only task of deducting abnormal termination is remain with PMON. Other tasks assigned to CLMN and CLNN, cleanup. So basically CLMN, which is main process, will not do the cleanup. It will again tell to the helper process, and this helper process is actually do the final task about cleaning, about releasing the resources, and the other things. So if multiple process requires for cleanup, then cleanup time can be significant. So this is important things about cleanup. And we have views which are introduced in 12.1, 12.2. So these views will tell you about the CLMN process, and this view will tell you about cleanup process. So if in this view your column state is busy, so it means process is busy in cleanup. So you can watch process activity by these two views, where one is dead cleanup, where is one is cleanup process. So by that you can get the information. So this is all about PMON, and this new process which introduced in 12.1, this actually monitor, spawn and stops the dispatcher and shared server process, connection and pooled server process, job queue process, and restartable background process. Earlier it was done by the PMON, but now it is doing by the PMAN. So now PMON is only responsible for watching the things. That's it. So this is the work of PMAN. Now PMAN, as I said, monitor, spawn, stop the following types of processes, which was written in figure. So I have written over here. Now this is the new process which introduced in 12.1. Many DBAs still knows that PMON will register the services with listener. No, that is wrong. LREG will register the database with listener. So please correct yourself if you have PMON in your mind. And this process is start when instances start, and LRG polls the listener to determine whether it is running. If the listener is running, LRG passes relevant parameter. If it is not running, LRG periodically attempt to connect. So as I said in release before 12c, PMON perform the listener registration, but now LRG perform the listener registration. Clear, guys? Excuse me. I hope my pace is okay. I'm not going fast. Thank you for using chat. Thank you, Shridevi. Thank you, China. Okay. Now SMON is old as from 99. So, but this is very important. It creates and manage temporary segment. It maintains undo segment. It maintains cleanup of data dictionary. It maintains SCN number. Okay. So this is the work of SMON, and also it performs instance recovery. That is very important. So that thing I'm not covering here. Temporary segment is created whenever PGA is not sufficient. So data will be divided in chunks, and all the data will put into the temporary table space, and that time temporary segment is required. So on that time, SMON will come and create the temporary segment and manage the temporary segment, and that data is transferred to the temporary table space, and from temporary table space one part of data will come and store in the PGA, process it and transfer it to the user. So this is the way things happen. And undo segment, you know that undo table space is required, and data dictionary cleanup if required, so SMON will do. And we know that SCN number is a digital clock of your database, just like a second needle of your watch. So that's why SCN is created. So every time you can check from $V database your current SCN number, so it will change just like a second needle is moving in your watch. So this is the important point about SMON. And yes, this is the DBWR. So as we know that till 99, how many DBWR was there?
I think
It was 10. Okay. And 11G it was 36. And from 12C it is almost 100. Okay. So now Oracle changed the naming convention from 12C. So when you have 36 DBWR, so your naming will be 0 to 9, A to Z, and after that your naming will BW 36 to 99. So this is the difference of naming. That is the only thing which happened in 12.1. Okay, and also the number increase up to 100. And we know that DBWR writes in the data file and writes in the smart flush cache. If you have attended my previous session about the architecture, so on that time I had tell about this, and in detail I'm taking SGA, PGA and UGA very soon in next webinar or maybe after the next webinar. So this is the work of DBWR and naming conventions. So please make sure that if you are getting DBWR 0 to 9, it means DBWR. But when you are getting BW36, so it does not mean DBWR, it is DBWR. Okay, so don't get confused. Clear, guys? So as we know that DBWR writes the dirty buffer to the data file, but it is very lazy. And whenever server process is not finding anything free buffer, then it will signal to the DBWR write the dirty buffer. Then it will write to the disk asynchronously, means it will not confirm, it will not give the confirmation to the server process. Okay, so that's why it is asynchronous IO, and DBWR writes whenever checkpoint happen, and DBWR write the dirty buffer before the redo entry is written to the redo log. So in some cases, if suppose LGWR didn't write the redo entries of particular transaction, so on that time this DBWR will signal to the LGWR boss, write the redo buffers, then I write dirty buffer. So that thing happened very less in the database, and it can write number of blocks in multiple block write. It depends on operating system. So in one read it can write multiple blocks, and in one read it can write only one block. Okay. Now LGWR, as everyone knows that it writes the actually server process writes the redo entries in the redo log buffer from the buffer cache. Many DBAs has confusion that LGWR write into the redo log buffer or SMON write. No, server process write the things in the redo log buffer, and from redo log buffer LGWR take it and write it into the redo log file. But from 12C, this LGWR is slave process, so they are 100, 0 to 99. Till 11G only one LGWR was there, but now from 12C we have slave processes, or you can say multiple LGWR which performs the task. So naming will be LG00, LG00, LG01, LG02, like that. Clear, guys? So now when it writes, when 1/3 of the redo log buffer full, when user commit, when redo entry is 1 MB, when DBWR writes the dirty buffer to the disk, when log switch occur. So these are the 3 seconds. So these are the things when LGWR writes, or you can say situation when LGWR writes. Okay, so I hope LGWR is clear, guys. Thank you, Danish. So now CKBT, very important for process that is called as checkpoint process, which actually write into the control file, and it will write into the data file header. Okay, so this is the important task of CKBT, and this actually what information it will do, it will write checkpoint information. So in checkpoint information, what will come? Checkpoint position, SCN number, and location of redo log to begin recovery. So what is checkpoint position? What is checkpoint Can anyone tell me about this? Use the chat room. If you are interested, because almost 12 a.m. so maybe you are feeling sleepy. So don't worry, I'm telling. See, checkpoint is a very important or crucial mechanism for your database. It it actually provides consistency of your database. You are right. Whenever you shut down the database, so on that time, whenever instance recovery happens on that time, and whenever database operations happen, so this mechanism will help in these types of activity. So basically, a checkpoint is a marker in your database. Suppose I am reading a book, okay? So the book is suppose 1,000 page, okay? So in one day I can't finish, okay? But many legend is there, they can finish, but I can't finish, okay? So if suppose I read 20 pages, so what I will do, I will put a marker, okay? So boys did doing coloring, girls use flower and more punky, it depends, okay? So just as a kidding notes I am telling this, so don't take it personal. So next day, if suppose I want to start, so I will take this marker and I will start from this page. So what I will get this means I will not spend too much time to find out my last page where I stopped, and also I start reading at that time. So same way, Oracle creates a checkpoint in your database. Okay, so suppose transaction is going on, transaction 2, transaction 3, and this time your checkpoint happens. Okay, and after that transaction 3, transaction 4 is going on, and suddenly your database crash. Okay, so how Oracle performs recovery? So Oracle will see where is the last checkpoint. So here it will get last checkpoint. So whenever checkpoint will happen, database mechanism tell that all the dirty buffer will flush to the data file by the DBWR, so that it provides the data security, data surety, data consistency. So now Oracle knows that before this checkpoint, all transaction is there in the database. So Oracle start the recovery from this position to this transaction. Got it? And it will perform this transaction, it will perform this transaction. So this is the benefit of checkpoint. And the first transaction where it start the recovery, that position is called as checkpoint position. Okay, clear guys? So checkpoint position and checkpoint is clear, or should I repeat? Okay, thank you, Prasanna.
Yes,
So
you
we
can
have,
repeat.
sorry.
One more need explanation about checkpoint.
Okay, just a second. Suppose my T1 transaction T2 transaction, T3 transaction is going on. Now here your checkpoint occurs, right? Okay, and after that again transaction is going on, T5, T6, and now here your database failed, right? So when Oracle processes which comes for recovery, so it will check where is the last checkpoint. So here it will get the last checkpoint. So checkpoint actually ensure that whenever checkpoint occurs, all the dirty buffer will flush to the database file. So T1, T2, T3 is there in the data file. That process confirm because of this checkpoint. So it start recovery from T4, T5, T6. So it will perform only these three transactions for recovery. And P4 is the first transaction. That position is called as checkpoint position because it starts recovery from this transaction or this place. So that's why this is called as checkpoint position, and it starts recovery till the database failure. Clear? So we have three types of checkpoint. In many books, it returns 7, 10, 12, 15, 13, many. So, but main which I read from Oracle documentation in 9.9, it is 3. What are those? The incremental checkpoint is the one, and table space and data file, which is called as partial, and thread checkpoint, which is called as full checkpoint. So in terms of that, you can say full, partial, and incremental. So these three are checkpoint. So full checkpoint will happen automatically when you shut down the database. So when you shut down normal, shut down immediate, shut down transactional, so you are giving you are doing consistent shutdown. So on that time your full checkpoint will occur. So whenever full checkpoint will occur, all the dirty buffer will flush to the data file, and all the modify entries or redo entries will flush to the redo log file. So properly all the things will happen, and then after that your database close. So next time when you starting the database, it will not require recovery. Or you can also by alter system checkpoint, you can create full checkpoint. By alter database begin backup, you can create full checkpoint. By online redo log switch, you can create a full checkpoint. So whenever you want to create full checkpoint, whenever you want to write all dirty buffers to the database file, you can use these three commands. Okay. Now, what is partial checkpoint or table space checkpoint? Suppose I'm closing or I'm doing offline one data file. So before offline of that data file, whatever the dirty buffer which belongs to that particular data file or table space, it will flush to the redo. It will flush to the data file of that which is going to be taken to be off or offline. Okay. So that's why it is called as partial checkpoint. And also whenever you are putting your table space in begin backup mode, on that time this partial checkpoint happen. Whenever offline, whenever shrinking of data file, so on that time partial checkpoint occur. And the third one is incremental checkpoint, which is very important. It actually occur every 3 seconds. Okay, so every 3 seconds it happens. So every 3 seconds your dirty buffer will flush. But which type of dirty buffer will flush? Which comes first in the dirty list, so that will be flush. Okay, so what does it mean? It means first in, first out, right? So I hope this checkpoint importance and checkpoint type is clear to everyone. Okay, now come to monitor process and MMNL. As we know that AWR introduced in 10G. Earlier we used StatsPack report for database performance activity, but from 10G HTML type of report comes, which is called as AWR. So that AWR we require a snapshot, and that snapshot is taken by default every 60 minutes. So who will do this? So mmon is the process which actually do this. And what is the work of mmnl? It will flush the buffer. It will flush the active session history, ASH. So we have ASH report also, which is very important. That is basically related to particular session. And pmon is also gather and filter the statistics from active session. So this is the work of mmon. And mmnl, another work is it will take the sample of every second from $v session and from $v session weight. So that is the three work of mmnl. These three work, and mmon has two work. So this is mmon and mmnl. Here, guys. Now RICO process is almost old, which actually used for distributed database configuration, where automatically connect to the other database, and it involves distributed transaction, and it will automatically resolve all in-out transaction. It removes any rows that is not that is in-out transaction. So this is the work of recover process. And optional background process are those which comes when you do some configuration changes, then it will come. So the important one is ARCN process. So I don't know why this is in optional background process. I didn't get the answer, because every production has archive mode, so ARCN will be there. So by default, how many ARCN process is started? Can anyone tell me? 4. Yes, absolutely correct. And total ARCN process is 30. So total ARCN is 30, 0 to 9, 8 to T, and it writes into the archive log file, okay, from the redo log file. So this is the work of ARCN process, which flush to the redo entries to permanently store in archive redo log file. But when it will come, when your database is in archive log mode. So by default, database is not in archive log mode. No, Dave, it is 30. From 11G, it is 30, because we create 30 standby. So that's why we have 30 ARCN process. So Dave Jaiswal, you are here. My God. So this is ARCN. Now job queue process, which is actually comes when you enable the job, when you fix the job. So we have job table, and we have job log table, which actually store the logs, and job table, which actually store the jobs, and CJQ process, which actually select the job, and it will spawn the process. That process is called as JNN, which actually do the task and also update the job status in the job table, and also it will write the entry into the job log table. So we have CJQ and JNN. These two process will perform the jobs whenever you have scheduled the jobs in the database. Got it? So there is the parameter job queue processes, which is number of job queue process enabled. Okay, by default it is 0. Now FDBA, flash data archive process, which is the technology which use to write in the flashback data archive table space, which is flashback database, flashback technologies In that, it will read the data before commit, and it will write particular to the flashback database archive. So this flashback, when a transaction contain DML on track table commits, this process store the pre-image of the change row into the flashback data archive that I said, and it also keeps the metadata on current row, and it manages the flashback data archive for space, organization, and retention, and it also keep the track of how long the archiving of tracked transaction has occurred. So this is very important process in flashback technology. Now, space segment management coordinator process, which basically spawn the process and schedule the task. So it has slave process W1, W2, W3, Wn. So these slave processes actually pre-allocate space in locally managed table space. As we know that we have only locally managed table space, dictionary managed table space deprecated. So in locally managed table space, it will automatically manage. And if you enable Oracle in-memory columns feature in your database, so this slave process populate and repopulate in-memory objects. So on that time, this process comes and do the things. And now recovery process, this is another important process which actually writes in flashback logs. So that is basically used when you enable flashback database feature. So this RDWR writes flashback data to flashback database, and flashback buffer enables, and that writes into the flashback logs, which is stored in either FRA or either in any other location. And this dispatcher, I have told earlier, whenever you have dedicated connections, so these dispatcher will come. So these dispatcher will take the connection request from the listener, take the statement or task and put into the response request area. From there, shared server process will come and solve the request and put into the response area, and again from response area, dispatcher will take the request and it will transfer to the user. So this is the work of dispatcher process. And last topic of today's session is slave process. So slave process, as I know that helper of background process. So we have IO slave process and we have IO slave process for RMAN and database write slave process. So we have three types of slave process. So in IO slave process, actually it will simulate asynchronous IO for IO system. And if asynchronous IO is there, so there is no timing requirement for transmission, and there is no it will enable other process to start before the transmission has finished. And suppose you have application writes 100 blocks to a disk on operating system that does not support asynchronous IO. So each write occurs sequentially and waits for the confirmation, and then write was successful. With asynchronous IO, application can write bulk blocks in bulk and perform other work while waiting for response from the operating system that all blocks were written. So this is the benefit of asynchronous IO. So on that time, this IO slave process will help to speed up of your work. Okay, clear? Now, when using RMAN to backup or restore data, you can use IO slaves for both disk and tape. And for database write, if it is not particular, use multiple database writer. When you have one CPU, then you are, if suppose you are enabling 10 DBWR, then you will not get the benefit, because if you have 10 CPU, then you can enable 10 DBWR, then you will get the benefit. So what will happen in here? if you enable slave processes. So DBW is the only process that scan the buffer cache of LRU list for blocks to be returned to disk, but IO slave performs the IO for those blocks, so it can write multiple blocks at same time. So this is importance of slave processes. So guys, thank you. This is the things which I want to tell, and I hope you get all the things. Maybe you get new things, maybe you revise. So now it's up to you guys. You can start your questions.